What's up, everybody? This is the Front Door Show, going live a little early, a lot early, I should say, about 2 hours earlier. But we're doing this the double thing today because Pablo Punkout Gonzalez, which is my guest, part two, couldn't do it 3 days ago. Is that 3 days ago? Was it 3 days ago?
It was last Thursday.
Yeah, that's 3 days ago. So you heard me guys talk about what my feelings are, what was going on, and stuff like that. But today is all about Pablo Punkout Gonzalez. So we're continuing the story, and he had a lot to talk about the last time. So we're going to kind of go over some of the things that we missed. Okay, so how you doing, Pablo?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me on again. I really appreciate it.
All right. So I guess the first thing I'm going to ask you is because we're going to rehash a couple things, but in the beginning, I guess what I'm going to ask you is that because you weren't just a DJ, you were one of the feature guys that were a promoter, which is a little different for a lot of guys that I wasn't a promoter when I first started, but you started promoting right away. Is that correct?
Yeah, I kind of, maybe a year after DJing because you don't really make too much money DJing, or especially at 13, 14 years old, But I caught on to the game quick because, like I mentioned before in the last interview, so you got to make it happen for yourself. So that's what I did, when I talked last time, and mentioning some of the stuff I did, I thought about it after the interview, because it was extremely hard to cram in 38 years of history in an hour, And I want to apologize to all those people that were messaging. I can't read the messages while I'm on an interview. I did go back later on at night and try to answer as many as possible. So I apologize if I don't think I was being rude. I'm not looking at my phone or anything for the messages,
Right.
but I did reply to as many as possible. And I did get some personal questions that I'll go ahead and answer later on today from the people inbox me, because like you mentioned,
Oh, God, shoot.
they had no clue. People had no idea, some people thought I grew up on the South Side, and that's why I mentioned that I wasn't, from that, because of the WCYC influence,
Right.
But yeah, it was. I mean, I had to write down these questions and think about them, so the ones I received after the first interview. But yeah, the promoting thing, like you mentioned, dude, like 1985. In 1985, I threw my first Aragon event with Al. And that was 3 years after I started,
Wow.
Here I am admiring like Pinky and them, and here I am doing an Aragon event, and for those people that never been to the Aragon, it's a huge place. It's a big deal, for me it was back then in the day, and it was me and Al, and there goes Al again. Me and Al did our Aragon event. It was a DJ battle.
Okay.
In 1985. It was the same year that they were doing a Hot Mix 5 battle, I think in Rainbow. Well, we did a battle back in, I think it was in July. And it was, the people I had battle, it was me, a couple of other Hot Mix 5 members, like spinning, but the DJs that were battling, I don't have the poster anymore. It got lost in some floods. I will talk about that later, maybe. Sly Hula Hula Fox, Waldo Wham Bam. This is a Southside guy you might know. Carlos Beltran,
Mhm.
Jesse Velez, and I think Andre Hatchet.
Okay.
Yeah, if I'm missing anyone, I'm sorry, but that was a pretty good battle. Is the Aragon good response? For the first time, this Aragon event, I was very nervous. How it is at Aragon. You can't have 100 people at the Aragon. It's 100 people is great for a bar right now. These local bars, but not for no Aragon. But we got
Right.
a decent response. Um, thank God, because as a promoter, one of the questions I got asked was, "Did you always make money promoting?" And the real answer is no, right? Because right, it's a gamble. You win some, you lose some, and when you know it's gonna go bad, you like pray that you break even.
Right. Right.
So that's one of the questions that I was asked. But yeah, so it's a gamble. You win some, you lose some, and for the ones you lose, you kind of learn and try to correct those errors that you made before. But in that battle, Jesse Velez won. Rest in peace. That was back in 1985, and I remember this specifically because it was kind of almost like an even battle, you know. Um, and what he did, he came out with a Razor Maid. On that Razor Maid record was like a cappella, and he did like a simple little scratch, kiwi kiwi, and then he would throw in the acapella, and this is what it was. Here's a song, right? And then he did the kiwa 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 kiwa. He threw the acapella, which said, what's happening, bitch? And he would throw back the song. And he kept doing it. And the crowd, dude, they went nuts. He went nuts. And that right there, man, he won. He won that night,
Well, I mean, I think
something
that's,
simple.
I think that's, not to interrupt your story, but I think that's what happens with any battle that you do. You got to come out from the left field and you knock it
He
out
sure
of the
did.
park.
He sure did, man. First of all, Razor Maids, they got all these colors. So he pulls out this Razor Maid, which was, I think it was gold or whatever that was. And I don't even know what that song was, but I remember, what's happening, bitch? And it was that did it for him. But it was a good response. And then I also did one more Aragon the year after in 1986. That one I did on my own. I'm like 16, 17 at that time. 16, yeah, and 86 was a big year for me. But I went to New York to look for some talent and some dance group talents because I was involved a lot with the dance groups, in my events. So in 1986, at that time, the Colitos were no longer the top dance group. It was a group from my high school, Cleveland Park. They were called AKA. They were on top at that time. So I wanted a dance group from New York because Chicago and New York always had this rivalry, no matter what, whether it's baseball or dancing.
Break dancing.
break dancing, yeah. Actually, I thought the Floor Masters were from New York. But anyway, that's yeah. So yeah, I got two groups from over there. Thanks to another DJ that I got involved with. His name was Lefty Hernandez. I think at that time he was with Kiss FM. He hooked me up with some dance groups, and I brought them down, and I had them battle the Colitos and AKA. So two groups from Chicago versus two groups from New York. But I also we also flew in Trinier. At that time, that song "I'll Be All You Ever Need," it's like the freestyle or heartthrob, whatever you want to call it, was like the hottest song that year. So we had her perform. Those two went at it. At the end of the night, well, she did great. I think that was the first time here in Chicago. Trinier she performed awesome. And now that I'm thinking about it, I had Jesse Jones hosted. I had Jesse Jones host a lot of my events because, he would come down with Liz Torres. He would throw these records all crazy. Like he's throwing records at people, while they're dancing, and he brought a lot of energy to these events. I love always hiring Jesse and Liz. Liz would dance, and this is also the same year that she made that record on the Soundpack label.
Was this when Jesse had Loop Records or the one on Jackson? Or
I don't know if he was even at a record store at that time because I know he Well, I guess he was Loop Records still, because he's always been like Loop Records. What?
Right,
Oh,
right.
he had a store too in Milwaukee. I don't know if that was his own store that he had a store in his own in Milwaukee, but I'm off on the year. But anyway, so I hired him and Liz and Trenier, and then it was a good event. But I remember that Jesse Jones like dragged me out on stage, and I just to like dance or something, like he was like kind of like giving me this is the guy that brought to put this together for us. And dude, I I had a blue and white tuxedo. My mom wanted me to wear a tuxedo for this event. It's my first Aragon. I had a blue and white tuxedo, and I come out, and I do a little shake of the shoulder. That's all I really knew how to do. And people are like, it was fun. It was fun.
Wait,
But
wait, wait,
I
wait,
never
wait,
got, I
wait,
never forgot about that. Thanks,
wait,
Jesse.
wait. You got to stop right there. I got to stop you right there. Blue and white tuxedo. Are you talking
Yeah,
about a blue tuxedo with the white ruffle thing?
dude, it was white. The shirt was white, whatever. And it was not just blue. It was like turquoise blue. Very 80s. Yeah, that's the last time anyone would see me in those colors. But I think he might have white shoes. Yeah,
Please,
yeah, it was bad.
have someone have a picture of that, please.
Yeah, I
someone
have
a
actually I have a
that.
picture of it, but it's in black and white, thank God. You can't tell it was a bright,
Yeah, they have
suit.
Photoshop now. We can add the colors.
Yeah, thanks for letting people know about that. But as a promoter, so a lot of DJs, a lot of were able to perform in a lot of places as teenagers, where there's 21 clubs, but it was such an accomplishment to throw your Aragon as a teenager. I'm looking at it back now, and like, wow, and thanks to everyone that made that happen, because in this business you don't make it on your own. You always have people in the background, helping you out with all this stuff. So anyway, so here I am. I did this kind of events after high school, kind of toned down a bit because I was you know being like asked to play in different mobile events. But I did in 1987. I started as I'm getting older, so is my crowd, right? I'm now promoting to people that are older now, 17, 18, whatever. So what I started doing were events at Marina City, downtown in 1987. So we geared that towards like the young college crowd.
Okay.
And we were there for a couple of years during these events. I had people helping me out. I hooked up with Fusion, Dance Promotions. They were from the South Side, and a couple other young college promoters at the time. But yeah, Marina City was cool because the thing was dance, drink, and dine along the river. We would put dance, drink, and jack along the river. Then they had the bar on the other side, where if you were 21 or whatever, you could drink over there. So it was a nice kind of adult atmosphere that now that that I was able to introduce to the people that were following me at the time. So those were good times. Good times.
All right. So in the 80s, you did what? 2 battles, or is it 1 battle that you did? How many battles did you do?
Oh, I personally threw 1 battle.
Okay.
That's one that I featured Jesse Velez as the winner. Now I was in battles myself.
Okay.
I battled maybe a couple more times. I won a competition in Aurora, a place called the Alamo, and there's where I met Mickey Oliver.
Okay.
And then I was the 1986 Coca-Cola Pan American Mobile Champion. They used to do their big battles at
Right.
Olive Park. So I won the mobile one in 1986.
Okay. And
Which was great.
who was that was Henry's event? Henry and Yvonne?
I think I remember it being All Star Productions or
Okay. Yeah, that was Henry and Yvonne, the All-Stars and stuff like that.
yeah. And that was a hard battle because I had to go against, you had your Friday mobile lineup, and then you had the other guys, like the more veterans. on Saturday were like the club guys. I had to go against a couple of my friends, and so that was kind of weird to go, because you're buddy, but then you're going against your buddies. Like you would talk before the competition, but when it came down to the competition, you just in a different zone.
All right, so you would remember this. Winning it, what made you win? Because Jesse did the what's up,
Oh yeah,
bitch?
he
What did
made
you do?
I
What did
think
you do?
that was almost a little controversial because I play what they didn't play. I played a
Okay.
total opposite of music. I mean, my music taste, it was so different than I thought that that I play a lot of imports, and not just Italo. I mean, all kinds of imports. And I was one of those speed mixers. You know how you have your crate of pancakes of 100 records or whatever. You're flying. I had someone hold them because I was going too fast. I didn't have time to put them back in the cover, so I had someone holding them flying. So I was one of those type of DJs when it came down to like a battle. But that's what it was. It was the music selection, I think. Yeah, I did a couple of tricks because you had to do a couple of tricks. So what I remember though, they announced me as the winner. And once again, like I mentioned, I went against two of my friends. Miguel Rodriguez was one of them, and Lugo Rosado. Me and Lugo go way back. He's an awesome guy, and so was Miguel. We go way back. But that made it difficult. But then at the end, there was some kind of controversy. Like they announced me at the winner, and then uh, they kind of wanted me to spin off with one of the guys. And I remember the crowd go, no, no, it's too late. You announced him as the winner, So that went a little back and forth. I didn't have to like spin off on the one that night on Friday. It was a Friday night. The mobile DJs were on Friday.
I'm surprised they didn't have you go against the veteran guys.
Well, what happened? They they the guy said, okay, you don't have. He won Friday. He will be going against the nightclub DJ.
Right.
That was a pretty big lineup too. That was Jeff Davis, Jungle George. Those are the two big names I remember. But I didn't go against him. I went against a guy called Roger on Sunday. The Sunday was a spinoff. And that to me was supposed to be like kind of like a how you call that word when you just like showcase type of deal.
Right.
But it wasn't. It was an actual like me and him had spin-off. I don't know. I get bad luck with spin-offs. I remember we were man. It was great. The crowd was like 4,000, 5,000 people. It was all those things get a big response. And one of my records, I guess it was scratched. So I threw it in. Everything went fine. Then like 30 seconds later, it started to like it was scratched. I guess and then I guess he kind of went like off beat or something, or he couldn't mix out of it because it kept skipping, So he just threw something in because he had to. You couldn't mix out of it.
Right.
And because of that scratch on my record, they're like, well, they announced Roger as the Sunday winner, but I remember the crowd, man. It was beautiful to hear them announce. They were like really like against it. Like, nah, it's BS, they were, chanting my name that I should have won and stuff. But that right there, just hearing the crowd, when you got 3 or 4 or 5,000 people here chanting, rooting for you, that did it for me. I was like, okay, I'm good. And they're like, I don't, man, you beat me back. So the guy, okay, well, oh man, it was a great showdown. The mic, he was like, oh, it was a great competition. I'm gonna talk to people and have you on BMX. And I'm like, I already played on BMX, and thanks, and he was like, oh, here's your money. He was gonna give me the money. I don't know if for some reason they won't give me the money on stage. It was like, I don't know, like $500 or whatever that was. I don't want your money. I'm good. I'm good. I didn't want it because I didn't, I wasn't comfortable with the outcome, but I understand because of the record was scratched or whatever. So I let it go. I congratulated Roger. I forgot his last name. And yeah, that was it. it was a great, but it was a great experience. It was great that on Friday, I was, until today, I can say I'm the mobile champion on Friday. I think, I think because of all the fuss that happened on my year, the following year the battles were a little different. They were
Right,
they would have the mobile guys. They would have like the top two mobiles, and then the top two club,
right,
and
right,
they
right,
wouldn't
right.
battle each other no more. It was the top two
Right.
mobiles go against each other on Sunday, and the top two club guys will go against us. And
All right.
and there were always two champions. And that was sparked because of my controversy. A club guy is going to be more experienced than a mobile guy, and
Well, I mean, it
in my
just kind of,
opinion.
it probably was uh, but they just kind of had, fail safes built in because of the next one, they didn't want no more controversy
Yeah,
for
yeah,
it.
yeah, and
That's a,
that was good. I think that's the way it should have been all the time. Not
right.
having a mobile versus a club guy, because a club guy is always going to be a lot more experienced.
Well,
Yeah.
you said you met Mickey, you met, you already with Kenny, you already, what called, and this was 86, right? 86,
Oh no,
87.
I battled in '84 when I'm
Okay,
like at the Alamo in Aurora.
okay,
That's where I met Mickey in '84.
okay.
Um, and then so yeah, I hired Mickey, not only Kenny and Ralphie, but Mickey also in some events. In the '80s, it was, every DJ has like their time. You
Hmm.
know, Mine was definitely in the mid '80s. I did stuff at AC Club. On Pulaski, Milwaukee, I had Cynthia down. I did stuff over in the late '80s, early '90s. Promoted a little bit. We brought Cause and Effect to Apollo 2000. Cause and Effect was like an alternative top 40 type of group. That was a nice venture. That one, I think Leon helped me. Leon and Fusion, all three did it together. I don't know if you've ever been to Apollo 2000. It's on the south side of Cermak. It's a beautiful place, but it's
It's in the hood.
yeah, yeah. Basically, yeah. It's the parking situation sucks,
Yeah,
from what I remember. But it's a beautiful place. So yeah, we brought Cause and Effect there. It was your turnout. So yeah, so in the '80s, I also as I'm getting older, I'm still help promoting other DJs in my events. A couple of the guys that I helped promote, this was a skinny kid that went to my school, Calvin Park, and we became good friends. And so I took him under my wing. His name was Frankie Asias. He later became DJ Frankie V. So I took him in, I promoted him in small events. We became really good friends. But he was always very something about Frankie. He always asked a lot of questions. You know, so this is before he became V5 and all that. I remember him one time asking me, and he would call me Paul. He wouldn't call me, he would call me Paul because I would say a joke to a lot of my friends. Um, my closest friends call me Paul. So he called me Paul. Anyway, he asked me, "Hey Paul, how do you know all these artists? Where do you get their phone numbers from?" And I go, "Oh, dude, when I first started, all I did was look at the record. You would see where it was produced and the address and stuff. You would you call 411 or call the record company right there, and you call them, and from there on." And I remember telling him that information, and and this, I guess, this is how it come back later in the conversation. So I'm helping him. I'm promoting Frankie V, and we met at Alcatraz. We met Julio Sierra. Julio used to work the court rack. Yeah, before he became DJ, he would work at the court rack. I know he always was always bugging me to play, or he wanted to play at Alcatraz. He was. It is a funny story. His thing just happened at Alcatraz. I think someone didn't show up or something, and I think he had a weird name too. It wasn't Julio Sierra. But anyway, a bird, Tweety. Tweety was Tweety.
Tweety,
Yeah,
DJ Tweety. Yeah, that's what
yeah,
he said.
yeah. Yeah, we would really tease him about that, but that's
But
another story.
he was also saying that you used to dress very punk at that time. You were
Oh, yeah, I'm very conservative now. Yeah, I would. Let me give you an example. It was one time I had to play, I think, at the Odeum, and my whole entire face would be white, painted, white. I would have the mohawk look. I would have my leather gear, all that stuff, my spikes. It was just, and that was just for show. If I was performing like at the Rosemont Horizon or Odeum, something like that, I would put that on just for show. I wouldn't walk around like that all the time.
so let me get right. You were already with the nickname Punkout already. Is that
Oh, okay. Well, let me see. Let me finish Frankie and Julio because this was important too because with those two, we formed a little group together before they ventured out onto their own. We were like a little alternative group. On the South Side, they had so many. They had like New Division, I think Industrial Network, and others that I remember. We didn't really have that on our side. So me, Frankie V, and Julio Sierra, and I'm glad Julio found a nickname. I think he was Julio the Rebel,
yep.
not Tweety. Us three became Music Conspiracy. So that was our little like alternative group on the north side. And for a little bit, I promoted them as our group, during these events, and they were memorable times. They're good guys, good guys all together. Yeah, so my name Punkout didn't happen back in 1980, 81, and 82. I get this question asked a lot because there's not too many DJs that have that name that I know of. That happened because I used to listen to a radio show. I don't know. Do you remember Herb Kent?
Yeah, absolutely.
Herb Kent had a radio show back in 80, 81. It was a punk out show. And he would feature, it was called the Punk Out Show. And he would feature a lot of like these punk bands. I mean, deep bands, deeper than like Devo and B-52s. I mean, these wild bands, that you didn't really normally hear that at all on the mixes, So I love that music that he would play. And then, once that me and my friends were starting off our DJ team in 1982, everyone was coming up with their nicknames. Back then, your nickname had to match your first name and your last name, right? Like you could have been DJ Pietro per se.
No. But dude, my first DJ name was I tell the story. My first name, we didn't pronounce it Prieto at the time. It was Prito growing up. Prito. So my DJ name was Angelo Pumpin Prito.
See what I mean? It matched your last name, right?
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Oh, I didn't know that, Mr. Pun. I'm gonna call you Pumpin Prieto.
But it was Pumpin Prito. Prito. It was because at the time we didn't speak Spanish in the household, so the last name was always in my household. Prito. Yeah. Growing up was Prito. It was just.
Yeah, that's how it was. You had a match. So
never the word Prieto. Seriously, Prieto. It was always Prito.
Thank God. Luckily, you changed it because it worked out for you. Because when you hear Prieto, you automatically think Latin.
Well, that's why that, it was actually Gabriel Rican Rodriguez that suggested the change.
Oh, it's smart. Oh, Rican, Puerto Rican, Rican.
Yes, because of the type of music I was playing. He's the one that said, "Hey, man, you can't call yourself Pumping Prito anymore. You got DJ Prieto," and I was like, "Huh?" And then he kind of broke it down, and I go, "Oh, now it makes sense."
Yeah, Gabriel turned out to be a really good DJ. Yeah, he's also one of was a member of the Diabetes 6 team. But yeah, my name, because of Herb Kent, and then also the dance groups were hot. Like I told you in the early 80s, there was a dance group in my school called one of the dance groups was called the Doobies. I don't know why they called themselves the Doobies. I don't know what they were doing, why they were dancing. No, I'm kidding. They were called the Doobie Dancers, and my friend's sister was in it. So we're coming up with these DJ idea names and stuff. And she goes, "Why not Punkout? Like you like, like, oh man, I love that. Everyone that liked punk listened to that show. Go, yeah, I like that music. No one else did really. Not too many people in my neighborhood liked it. I go, yeah, and then that was it. Because it was either that or Pablo Get Down Gonzalez. So the punk out just worked out fine. Who would have known, years later that this new wave alternative thing would match like kind of my name,
Right.
So yeah, that's how I got my nickname.
A lot of people, little did they know that Herb Kent did the first punk
Oh,
program. Yeah, I mean, but you listen to Herb Kent. Trust me, I know Herb Kent.
oh,
And
he's a
everybody
legend.
assumes it's right, and they assume it's all stepping and it's all that R&B. That's it. He was a very smart
If
DJ.
it wasn't for Herb Kent, I would have been Pablo Get Down. Get Down. Thank you, Herb Kent. Rest in peace. Oh man, yeah, he's a legend, man. You got to give credit to where credit's due. But yeah, so that's what happened in my promotion with my promotions in the '80s. I helped, like I said, I made a lot of good DJ relationships. I didn't really stay in one place. I mean, I was all over the place promoting, DJing. But yeah, like I said, I really became involved in the business. But even like I said, 1986 was like my hottest year, my peak as a DJ was 1986. Here I am. I was already featured on BMX, GCI, CYC. I really had Aragon under my belt. I won the Pan American thing of the mobile championship. But I also produced a record in 1986 on the Soundpack label. Lugo and Jesse Jones, helped me with that. They made a song. I think No More Mind Games was out at that time.
Okay, what is
And
this?
and that was back then. If you were able to, everybody wanted to be part of that house scene, right? A lot of people went to like DJ International or Tracks.
Well, I think as DJs, we wanted to get into production.
Yeah, we wanted to evolve.
Right, and I think that all of us did it, and I did it.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, so we wanted to evolve, and I said, why not? Let me take a crack at it.
Right.
And so yeah, they didn't have the classic Chicago house rolling machine. I think that was the 808. They had the 909, which was like a harder type sound,
Right.
So I learned quick. I wrote the song and everything else. Oh, this is a cool story. I needed a singer now to sing these words, right? So, and back at school during lunchtime in my cafeteria, I asked I actually can announce something on the mic. Yeah, I'm sure, nothing bad, right? I go, no, not bad, and so I announced, like, I'm like, I'm working on a record, on a song. I need a singer. I need a female singer for this song. If you're interested, just line up. Girls lined up, I heard them out. And I think people took me serious because, 1986, I'd done so much in the industry that they knew I wasn't bullshitting. Like, oh, this is for real. And there was someone in my class, actually. Her name was Emily Castro, and she had a nice voice. And what I was trying to do with that project was trying to go back. Do you remember Jador Dancer by Mark Imperial?
Right.
That was a hot song. So I was trying to kind of we were almost the same kind of, deal where he had a nice, soft, voice, and, just like in that Chicago house sound. But this is my first project. I asked Kenny Jason to do a remix. He did. And Miguel Rodriguez also did a remix, and I did one too as well. I mean, we're learning as we're going. None of us, went to school and all that stuff or had, all these tutorials. it's all on the go. You're all learning. Boom, 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 boom. And there was different about, and I'm sure other producers or record artists at that time. I had a lot of live instruments. We got a guy who was playing the congas. That was live. That wasn't, nothing electronic. Everything, a lot of the instruments you heard in my song was live. And I did have a hard time connecting with the producer. When you work with someone, you gotta everyone has to be in it. You gotta understand each other. The communication has to be right there as one. Because if someone's off, it's gonna sound off. So I did the best I can. The song was made. It was called "I Want You" on Soundpack label. It was okay. It definitely needs a remix now. I didn't get too much support from the Chicago radio team, even though I had Kenny remix it. I didn't get too much support like others did. So I learned really quick about the politics involved in making music here in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Because I wanted to keep on doing that. I had other stuff that in mind, but yeah, real quick at a young age, that was too much drama. And no, I'll just wait and go with another label when I'm ready.
Right.
So that's my
But lucky
Right.
for you, you didn't buy any equipment. You didn't buy any equipment, right? You didn't buy your Juno 101. You didn't buy the 909. You didn't buy any of it.
I did before that. I had the 808. And sometimes when I would do my DJ sets, I would come out with my rolling.
Okay.
It'd be the claps, and then I would do my set with the machine on. So that's what it helped me. So when I went to the 909, it was just a different sound. It was
Right.
it was not the traditional Chicago early house sound, but yeah, I guess if people tell me, you're one of the first, you're in that group of the first Latino house artists back in the day. Like, really? I don't see myself like that, but I took it as a compliment. But yeah, that was my short history. Too political. Want to get away from that. And right now, I would like to work on one track, but you listen to this music now, it's man, it's very competitive. Like everyone got a track out, and it's not the same like before. Like me, I will go. I remember, like every other DJ, you go to Hot Jams or Gramophone, Imports, Loops, and it was cool to see your record on there, your name. Wow, that was I didn't expect ever to see that. Because stores, sold it, but like I said, without the help from the guys on the radio, because that's what made music back then. The DJs playing the music on the radio. We kind of dictate what people, even now, look at 30 some years later, they still dancing to "I Need Love" and "Native Love" and "Angel Eyes" because that's what they heard on the radio back then.
So I got a question. If somebody wants to look up the music, or is "I Want You" by Pablo Punkout, is it, or is it Pablo Gonzalez, or what is it?
It's Pablo Gonzalez, "I Want You." I think you can find it on YouTube. Yeah, and there's two mixes, a couple of mixes on there. One I did, one Kenny Jason did, and one Miguel Rodriguez did. So, I sometimes I don't really. What's weird, I don't really play my song because I don't, I didn't like the completed project, but it was too late. I wouldn't mind remixing it now, but I don't have none of the stems because I got called by someone that wanted to remix. I don't have none of that stuff. I don't have this, none of it. It's in that studio somewhere. I don't even know if they're even still around. But it's gone. It's lost, and you can't really you can edit it, but you can't remix it.
You need to do a Spanglish version now.
Spanglish, te quiero mucho. I want you. There you go.
There you go. See, that's so. So that was your record producing. Did you get into the mixtape aspect of it as well? From your
Yeah, I know I did that one tape with Viva. Thank you, Louis and Leon. Well, let me give a quick shout out to the Viva guys that I work with. Marco Hernandez Dinamico, um, David Aguillo, Duende. You know, I liked the Viva part of my life because Viva was having these events like all over like the downtown area at that time. You know, and that was cool to be working downtown in that circuit. And those guys, even though I was in my early 20s at this point with Viva, I felt like the old guy. You know, even yeah, I really feel like I feel like the veteran. You know, like the old guy on the team. But you know, yeah, I had a great time with all those guys. You know,
I think that's where I met you at Village Cafe was the first time meeting you.
Oh, it could be because I was there a lot. You know, they had like 2 floors
Right,
or something. Yeah, I
right.
was there a lot. You know, I would play the new wave stuff. But yeah, that was a great experience in my life with the Viva. That was like I think early '90s when I was with them. But yeah, so anyway, the tapes. Yeah, I did my mixtape. Oh my God, that you want to talk about drama? That's a lot. You know, there's all this stuff that people don't know that happens in the background, right? Um, you know, it's not just going on and recording songs. This is a bunch of stuff involved. Anyway, so I remember I started doing. Everyone was doing house freestyle, so I started. And this is like in the late '80s, early '90s. I was doing techno. I was doing techno and rave music mixed cassettes. Um, and this is, you know when people are liking it because the record store will tell you, give me another 50, give me another 100, you know, stuff like that. So
Right.
you know, I was okay with that. I was doing okay. There was one I put out, and I went to the. I'm gonna say a mall, and I'm gonna say which mall. I went to the mall to like collect, and so I went down to the mall, and I remember talking to one of the guys, and I'm like, oh, you know, I came to collect my money, you know, whatever. And I go, hey, you need any more? And they're like, he's like, no, I don't need any more. We're pretty good, you know, like really, like, oh, okay. I go, and he goes, I go, which one's selling now right now? You know, he's like, oh, this one's selling. So he pulled it out, and it was a white cassette. And I go, oh, let me hear it. Let me see what it is. I go, yeah, the music's like yours, you know. So I put I put the cassette in there, and dude, it was my mix, but on a different like cassette. It was bootlegged. So my mix was bootlegged, you know. I'm like, what are you? Oh man, like this is BS, you know. But you really can't do nothing because a mixtape is really a bootleg of other people's music, right? Just your spin at it. So you know it was good when your mixtape got bootlegged, you know. So right now, like yeah, exactly, and there's nothing really you can do about that. Like man, forget this. I didn't want to deal with that no more, you know, because you really can't control that, you know. I mean,
Yep.
if it wasn't for that guy that told me, I would have had no idea that my stuff was being bootlegged, you know. But yeah, that's my
Well,
mixtape.
I mean, unfortunately, mine was getting bootlegged all over the world. So,
Whoa, yeah,
so it was a whole different aspect of what was going on. You know, I
yeah,
didn't have a guy. I had entity come up to me and tell me, "Yo, you need to stop." So
really.
yeah, so it was okay. Let's stop. Yeah, that,
Yeah. Well,
that was
it was cool. Again, once again, because there were so many mixtapes out there, and just to to be told, oh, I need more. That was a good feeling that okay, people are liking it. Because I mean, I'm already older at this point, and like a lot of things were going on in my life changing. But I remembered those were good times. But once I got bootlegged, I was like, man, forget this, man.
that was the yellow cassette, right? That was
No, no, no.
the
The yellow cassette that was later.
okay.
Yeah, that
Well,
was like Louis and Leon did that way later, in like in the '90s. This
okay,
was on my own. I did it in the early '90s on my own. When they first started, all these like
okay.
mixed cassette stuff, and yeah. So
So you did one on your own, and then there was one on Viva that these
well,
guys did,
yeah,
right?
that was later on in the '90s. And that's
Okay,
when I was really around no more. I became a family man and stuff. That was because on the J card it was return. They called it Return of the Legend. because at this
Right,
point
right, right. I remember that.
I wasn't really in the scene no more.
So that means legend means you're old.
Yeah, yeah, it's okay. Old and
Yeah,
wise.
yeah, yes,
Oh,
yes. I
wise. No
know.
more
I,
exposures.
no, no. Harv told me that. Legend means you're old.
And the rule is you can't call yourself a legend.
No,
Other
no.
people are gonna call you legend. So
Correct.
DJs, calm down. Others gotta call you a legend. But yeah, those were yeah. I mean that was my take about the of the mixtapes. Oh my god! And I, I think I'm gonna be quiet right now. I don't want to say no more about those the mixtape. Okay, that's it. I'm done with
It,
that. Next, next.
it had its time, and it was yeah, and I'm sure you get it. I get it all the time. Hey, first of all, can you sell me mixtapes? Second of all, you're gonna come out with a mixtape again. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
who
When's
sells
your next one?
mixtapes? Yeah,
When's your next
I'm
one?
like, what? God,
Man.
are we 15 years ago?
Yeah, after what you did to me, you think I'm gonna give you a tape, man?
Yeah,
No.
you know.
Yeah, those were good times.
So, so,
Go
so
ahead.
just a question: like what I did? Is I put it on YouTube. I put the mixes on YouTube. That's what I did. Listen, if anybody, so there's no need for bootleg. It's out there to
Yeah.
download. It's like,
I wish
like okay.
I wish I would have done that because like I mentioned earlier, I lived out in Berwyn for a long time, and I had all my stuff downstairs. And one year, man, we had a flood like none other. The
Oof.
water rose to up my man cave, like almost 3 feet deep, and the water didn't drain. It was a bad storm, whatever. It wasn't just my house. I think Berwyn and Oak Park got affected. I mean, you go outside the next day, everyone's furniture was in the front of, in the alley. And that took out, I want to say like 95% of my vinyl, a lot of my memorabilia wiped away. That was heartbreaking right there. Really heartbreaking.
So during this mixtape aspect of it, Harv Roman wants to make sure that I mentioned this to you. Were you doing the radio still, or were you doing the radio aspect of it?
Harv, I got to talk about him. Yeah, I was still on I was still on CYC because this is like early 90s, late 80s, early 90s.
Okay, okay. So it's all happening at the same time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The
Well,
radio and then
yeah, because there'll be times when I would go to collect at the record store, and there'll be like CYC fans there. Someone say, "Oh, that's Prieto, that's Pablo," and I would get asked to autograph. Sometimes, oh yeah, like what? Really? Me? Oh, sure, okay. So I will autograph the J card on the on the
isn't that
press.
the weirdest feeling? Yeah.
Yeah, it is, and but there were like younger cats, and so right away to be in this business, and depending how far you go, whether um, you have to always remember that you're a figure now. You're a public figure, especially you're on the radio. People are listening.
Right.
People are listening, and you create a fan base that you don't think you have. Talking about Harv, well, before I go to Harv, I want to show this flyer. It was an event I did back in 1985. All
At
right,
Central Hall. Yes.
right.
Shake your
Now,
Punkout.
where are we at? You see where it says Jesse Velez?
Yes.
Okay. This was the last time that Jesse Velez mixed. Last event. I remember that night. I get sad about it. He did it. He came to perform. He was on a like on a crutch thing. I think he broke a leg on a motorcycle accident or something like that. And he still performed. And I remember him being really sad that day, right, man? Because we became close friends back in the mid '80s. He would come to my house. He would invite me to some of his events, and I was, you know, we were interacting a lot. And that night, he performed for me at Centrum, and then you know, paid him and stuff, and he left early. Normally, Jesse would stay and party. He left. I remember him leaving, and I remember getting a call like at 3 or 4 in the morning from Kenny Jason, and he's like, "Pablo, I got bad news." Like, what happened? what's going on? You okay? He goes, no, Jesse's gone. You know, man, it was so heartbreaking. You know, Jesse, he could, if he was, you know, he's still alive, he would have been probably one of the top Latino record producers, DJ, whatever. You know, because he was. I mean, he was very inspiring to me as well. You know, uh, his nickname, the world's littlest DJ. That's true because I think I was like 5 centimeters taller than him. You know, so
Wait,
I
wait, wait,
remember
stop right
I
there. Stop right there. You was 5'7"? Did you grow all of a sudden?
what?
And so you was 5'7"? Did you grow all of a sudden?
No, I'm like a couple of centimeters taller than Jesse. You know, so his name, you know, the world's littlest DJ. That's yeah, it was.
Yeah, I remember he was a tiny, skinny guy.
Yeah,
He was really.
yeah. You know, and what's funny, his production name was not funny, but was kind of like, you know, if you think about it, his production name was Made in Heaven. Disco was the name of his production. You know, yeah, they were heavily involved as well in the early '80s with this whole '80s dance thing. Um, yeah, so I just wanted to give him his respect. Okay, so what's my next question?
No, you said about Harv Roman. You said the Harv.
Harv. Oh, because of Harv Roman, I went to you know, this is now a CYC story, right? You see, am I forgetting anything? Make sure I don't forget nobody. Oh, uh, he's like, I came into throwing my mix, you know, turning on my mixtape, and I think someone wasn't showing up on the air or something on the radio show, and he's like, "Hey, Pablo, why don't you go on?" And he wanted to go, why don't you want to go on the air? Like what? You know, I never went to CYC to be a air guy. So yeah, I went on. I thought it was maybe for a week or two. Man, that turned out to be for a while. I was on Saturday morning, Saturday afternoons from 12 to 3, and it was a lot of fun. My co-host was Alicia Farrell. That was her name, and man, we had fun. And what I did, I remember what I did in the air. I changed my name because it was kind of weird saying you're in the mix with Pablo Punkout Gonzalez, and it's me saying it. You know, like under. So I changed my name to Paul Gunn. You know,
Okay.
so that was my on-air name, Paul Gunn, which I kept for a while for numerous reasons. I used that name for like the raids, and I used that name to get the other clientele way up north. You know, Paul Gunn. You know, and I kept that name for a while. It's kind of funny. Some people still call me that. You know, or they'll say, "Hey, well, you and Paul Gunn sound alike on the mixes." You know. So for a while, it was a little secret. You know, but yeah, that was me. I was Paul Gunn on the air. Thanks to Harv Roman. If it wasn't for him pushing me to go on the air, I was uh, I was told that not only my show, but a lot of shows on CUSC were recording, and people would share those cassettes with other people, like in their school, whatever. Because if you lived too far, you know, you couldn't get CUSC unless you were wrapped with aluminum foil. You know, you couldn't pick up the signal. You know, so I was told, yeah, you know, I had to, you know, sign something, and oh, I love this show, and I thought I was signing a mix. It was like the radio show that I was like, what? Oh yeah, you're so funny, and all this stuff. You guys are great. So yeah, thanks to Harv that happened. Thank you, Harv. The best radio boss ever.
That's that's the 8 o'clock show I have with Harv Roman. So
Oh,
was,
I'm sure he's gonna tell you all kinds of stuff, all kind of cool
that,
CYC memorabilia stuff. You know, yeah, there was great times. I want to answer a couple of questions that was messaged.
okay.
Someone asked me, who's the voice? Who did the drop on the 90.5 CD mix? That was done by my wife at the time, Diana. She's the voice behind that, you know, because I remember being asked, "Where'd you get the drop?" I want her to use. They wanted to hire my wife at the time to do the drop. Like, okay, I'll ask her, you know, but she never did. Those were for me exclusively. But yeah, that was to answer that question. I think I already answered, and so props to her, and thank you for for everything that you had to put up with me. Like I always had the music on loud, like the weekends and stuff. And she was very like, most wives and a lot of wives and girlfriends, um, they're very cooperative with the DJs. And some aren't, and some are, and this is like their thing. And she was one of those that was very cooperative. So thank you very much for that. Now, another question I think I answered was about the money. No, I didn't become a millionaire. I would win or lose the event. Some people wanted to know how much I was paying Rothy and Kenny back then. I'm not going to tell you. That's everyone, I'm sure, has different prices. I'm not going to mess anything up because I might use Kenny or someone else in the near future. I'm not going to mess myself up. And I was also asked about like the dominating six members, how many members were there, because there were more than six. And maybe Harvard could correct me, but I'm going to try to answer that one because at this station at CYC, and as you hear, there were so many DJs. Sometimes if Harv had his show, he would have his own group of DJs. Like he would feature like Tony Booba Badea, and others. If someone else had a show, they would feature like their own guys and stuff. But on the mix show, we try to keep it consistent. But we also had like our rotation of guys. So I was asked who are the original dominating six. I try to remember this. Was myself, Gino, Rich Martinez, Gabriel Guetan Garcia, Radical Jess, and either Rick the Ripper or Louis Segura. And from there on, as guys left, other guys came in, like Gabriel Rican and Caveman. So many other guys came in, Jackmaster J. There were so many other DJs that came in after that. But those names I mentioned, those like the original crew regarding the CYC musics. You got any other questions for me?
No, okay, so what would you consider your most memorable moment as a DJ?
Oh, it's a good one. The Pan American Fest was one. Having all those people cheer for you. Thousands of people. At the time when I was married, my wife at the time was very supportive. Where, sometimes you go to the events and there's no one dancing, so she will like go out there and start the dance floor, and then people just go in. So I remember that. Very memorable, and she was very helpful, in that way. But I think it was 2 years ago. Mikey O, he threw an event at Joe's on weed. No, Joe's Live in Rosemont.
Correct.
And it was a house party during the day. Oh, I think I saw you there. Yeah, I think I saw you there. Right?
Yep.
And what was special about that,
because I was there. Thank you.
No. That made it extra special, Angelo per se was there. What was special to me was that I brought my oldest son with me. My oldest son never got to see me perform in that type of environment. He would go me to weddings and stuff, back then, to help me out and stuff. But it's nothing to compare when you see thousands of people, you're performing in front of thousands of people. So sharing that with my oldest at that time was like a great father and son moment. He's like, "Oh, Dad, you did great. Oh, people were dancing and I had a good time." That was very special. Hopefully my youngest, if I'm still around doing this, will get to see me perform at that level.
So how old is your oldest, if you mind me asking?
Wow, that's personal per se, Preto. No, he's 28.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's, but you never had him, he didn't come out to any of the events before or never?
No, because, he would just go to the weddings. I couldn't sneak him in like at a nightclub, Maybe if Al owned it back in the 80s, I would have snuck them in. I would have let me snuck them in, but now in the
Well,
in the 90s, everything changed. Everything,
well, my daughter's listening, or my ex-wife is listening, and this is very well known. I used to get away with that because I used to have my daughter work for me, collecting emails for me.
oh,
Yeah, and
so
she was,
signing. Hi,
yeah,
welcome. What's your name?
yeah, exactly. She was only 14 years old, and I remember that was at Tropicana. That was at the Palladium
Yeah.
Tropicana, and and of course, one of the security head of security is like, dude, we're gonna get in trouble if you have there. And I says, I'm her dad. So she's, she's not in the club. She's in the very front of the club, and she's sitting on a chair, and I'm here monitoring what she's doing. So I'm here, and I don't know if you knew, I didn't drink alcohol or anything like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, yeah, I'm not a drinker, so
So so it's like, if any, and I said, if any police officers come in or anything, they ask, hey, this young girl, so she goes, her dad is right there. And I think one time a cop asked, hey, she's underage, she can't be in the club. And he goes, and I happen to be there. And I says, no, she's not in the club. She works for me. She's working here, and she's here only till 11 o'clock. Where, basically, I get her to bed before 11 o'clock.
yeah.
And the guy was like, okay, as long as she doesn't. I said, of course, because she's my daughter.
That's cool. That's cool that
So,
you had her, like, she got, because she's always gonna remember that. When we're gone, our kids are gonna remember those kind of moments that they shared with us.
well, because of that, she got to meet everybody. She
Yeah.
got to meet everybody. And it actually worked in my benefit, because she went to a club, a 21 over club, and she was underage. And I got a phone call. Hey, your daughter's here. So,
Or you had to like confirm that, yes, I have a daughter. This is her name.
no, they didn't.
Or they're ratting on her.
They were ratting on her.
Oh, okay. That's
But
funny.
what was funny, no, it was funny is because where she was at, it was really not a great place to be at. So I told her, I go, okay, Angela, you want to be at the club? You want to be at the club? Come to my event, because I know you're going to be safe. Yeah, he says, I don't trust what you're going to go into this. It was a real ghetto kind of event. And I says, listen, you want to come? I go, I'm your father, and then you could work with me in the office if you want to come, to the club. And she was already at 20 years old. And I says, listen, I says, I know you're gonna go in the clubs. You got your fake IDs. I know you're gonna go somewhere. Come to my event. Even if you have the fake ID, which a lot of girls had the fake IDs. It's just the way it was. I go, but I felt more comfortable because all the security guard knew that was my daughter, and they were watching out for her. And trust me, it was always, somebody gets stupid or something like that, and then my daughter's there. They would, like, I remember at 720, security would right to the guy and escort him out.
Wow.
It wasn't to my daughter. It was just that
Yeah.
it was, they were taking an extra precaution. So
That's a nice story.
I had
That's-
my daughter. And what you call it. So that was there because when she turned 21, she didn't want to be in the club anymore.
Yeah,
So
she got
was
sick
like,
of it. Yeah,
"Ah."
exactly. Yeah,
So
I got sick
was
of
like,
the.
okay.
Yeah, I got sick of the nightlife too. Because I've been doing it since forever. Like so. Yeah, those are good. I get, as parents, I think those are moments that we we'll always remember that we share with our kids. Because um, our kids would hear, oh, your dad used to DJ and all this stuff. They're like, yeah, okay, sure. Dads are not cool. But once they get to see it, that just, wow, it's really true. It's a different level. Another question that I was asked was about, I think in the first interview, I was asked about this flyer that I had Mark made, which multiple colors. It's right here. That's the flyer at my first event. This, you see all the different colors, yellow, blue, red, green, all that. Yeah, expensive flyer. But yeah, that's the first one that I did that I mentioned. People wanting to see it. It's kind of torn up at the end, top, but I just put it up so people can see it. It's an old one.
So
And on
before,
this one, I had actually I featured Julian and Ralphie, but Julian wasn't Hot Mix 5. So Julian is a small font with me and my partner. Ralphie's like this, Ralphie's BMX, you always have the headliner real big. So yeah, Julian's little font. Well, me and my buddy, before he became Hot Mix 5. Yeah, there was another guy messaged me. Was it true that someone threw a stink bomb at one of your events? Yeah, I think it was the event where I featured Farley at Armitage Hall, and someone threw a stink bomb. How it is when people are always trying to bring you down. So it was bad. It was people had to leave. We had to clean it up, mop it up, oh, it was ridiculous. But it turned out okay. People came back. But yeah, there was a stink bomb thrown in my event. Yeah.
so I guess the question I'm gonna ask, before the pandemic hit, did you have any plans? Were you planning on doing anything?
Yeah, I prefer to, but, I'm coming back into the scene, right? And I tried the promoting thing because that's who I am, like, okay, let me just try this. It's a different animal now. And I learned that quick. After Charlie brought me back and stuff, I threw an event on the north side. I don't know. I don't know if you've been there. It's called Second Room, or it was upstairs on the second floor on Clark Street, Room 2. Yeah, Room 2, I think, on the second floor on Clark Street on our side. So I did a CYC, like family get together. I did okay, right? Like, okay, I can do this. But I learned at that point, I think Facebook was catching on to us. Because, before you were able, anyone was able to see your stuff. Now they control so much of it. And I was getting in the beginning of that, that's where I came in when Facebook had all this control. Like, oh man, so because back then I don't want to go out there now in nightclubs passing out flyers and all that. I'm too old for that. I don't, and I, so I learned quick that it's a new animal promoting, and it's a different ball game than just passing out flyers and stuff. And where are you gonna go? You can't go to high schools no more. Can't go to colleges. Try to go to some other person's club. Then hey, get out of here. Go to the corner type of deal. What are you gonna do? Pass them out at Walmart, Target for your audience? It's a different animal promoting now. So learn that quick. So I met a group of guys. They're real cool. Let me give them. I know we're almost out of time here. The Riot Crew. I met the DJs were DJ Gil, Julius Oliver, even though I knew Julius from before, from the Diva time. DJ Nan, I call him Nan, but his real name is Nan. And that they made fun of me. Why you call him Nan? It's Nan, but yeah, that's how I talk, I guess. I don't know. And Tony Mixon Garcia. So these guys from the Riot Crew, and they helped me because now I'm getting into these little bar scenes now. The scene now is like little bars, little bars / DJ type things, and that's drama right there too, because we did a couple, it was okay, but there's a lot of politics there too, because only think about it, only certain amount of people can fit in, right? Maybe 150 if you're lucky, depending on the size of the bar. Some even less than that. A lot of the places didn't have equipment. You had to bring your own equipment now. Now you got to, if you don't have equipment, you got to rent somewhere. A lot of the bar owners don't want to give you a cut from the bar. They're like, okay, you keep the door, I keep the bar, and $10, $15. You're lucky if you get 5. I just did a couple actually before the pandemic. Me, John Hernandez, and Sam from Ace of Clubs, along with my guys from the Cutting Crew. We did an event, House versus New Wave. It's okay. It was good. But back then, to break even, you needed like 100 or 200 people. Just to break even. Now, if you get like 100 people in a bar, that's good for the owner, because right? So a person would drink more than once. They're charging $500-600, right? So that's good for them. But if you don't have a good deal with the bar owner, it's not so lucrative. So before the pandemic, I did that, and me, John, and Walter Moreno, we were going to do something strictly, small place like that, um, and just strictly new alternative, new wave EDM type of environment. We were set. We were great to go, but then the pandemic happened, and everything just, like everything else, just stopped. Cut. Nope, not today. Nope. So hopefully, maybe, I don't know, realistically, maybe next year. But with John Hernandez, real quick, I've known of John for a long time, but I never heard the dude mix. You know how it is sometimes you hear people, you never hear him mix.
Oh, wow.
And I never heard John mix. I know he was part also that early new wave scene. Did stuff like at the Taurus, I think, for a while. We're one of those places back then down here on the South Side. I never heard him mix, but when we did that event together, we did it at Bar
10. Bar 10.
Bar 10? Is it Bar 10?
Yeah.
Archer Avenue. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one forgetting. See, I forgot my memory filter. Excuse me. 171. I don't know. Was the bar? It was a popular bar.
Highway 171 or whatever it is that
yes,
right there. Right.
At Archer. It was good. So I heard John mix. He threw down like, yeah, this guy is good. Like wow. So I was like really impressed. I'm like, oh, I never heard the dude mix. We know, because like I mentioned before, you see each other on flyers. Sometimes you never get to meet. But yeah, those guys from the Ace of Clubs, John and Sam Gamboa, Smoking Sam, good guys to work with. It was a nice event. So anyway, me, John, and Walter Moreno were hoping to do that, but then the pandemic hit, and everyone's on pause with indoor stuff. I honestly, Preto, even if they tell us, okay, come back, we're open now at the bar. I don't know if I'm going to be. I don't know if I'm going to be inside. I don't know if I'm going to be inside somewhere with 100 people. Not only that, there's no Rona still out there, right? So be careful. You got to take care of yourself. Depending on the bar owner, if he really cares about his customers, he's going to have to cut back. You can't, you have to cut back, to be safe. I can't imagine it being so lucrative.
It's going to be a tricky, really tricky tightrope walk, because there's going to be the issue of space, the issue of health, the issue of money, the issue of what's going to be okay for, as far as the
exactly what they're going to do. They're going to put a blow-up doll in between stools. You're going to mark an X. Okay, you guys can dance here. And what happens when that girl hears her song? Oh, my song! And she runs to the middle of the dance floor. And you know what I'm saying? It's until there's I can't really see it like before.
I don't know.
I mean, there'll be people out there that will just fuck it, come on in. But it's probably happening now. We don't know, but I wouldn't go in that. If someone calls me, I would really. I mean, I would want a shield in front of me, and I'll be like in and out, gone. I mean, even people using the bathroom, everyone's touching the bathroom door, getting. I mean, think about it. They're gonna. It's tough, and I know a couple of people that are small business owners like that, and I don't know if they're gonna survive this. To be honest,
exactly. So I approached you 2 weeks ago now.
Yes. About breakdancing with you.
About this silent this social distance silent picnic. That was one of the things I approached you, and I approached because because of everything you're talking about, I think the only way this is going to maybe have a start is that we do it outside, just like they're doing outside with the outdoor patios for the restaurants. Um, I have the pros and cons about this right now, because yeah, it's nice and it's cool right now, because honestly, during the summertime, we were going to be outdoors anyway in the patios. But come September, it's going to be a really tricky situation with the businesses, because what are you going to do? Are you going to tell people outdoor patios closed and you're not going to have that? Your capacity is going to be only 20% of what you normally have. So how do you survive in the business? But
Right.
I know people are bounded up in the sense of that they haven't got a chance to go out. Every chance they are getting at the outdoor patios, I know they're coming. So the silent picnic, I sent you the video today of the woods, and you see how big it is. It's huge. What are your thoughts about what we're doing there as far as the plan for
Okay,
the?
now, when you approached me with this project, I thought about two things. I'm like, and I thought about here in Chicago, weather's getting hot, it's getting better. You want to go outside, you miss that. People are going, I don't know, even those bars that are doing it like patio style. I mean, if I go out to a patio, you kind of want to relax. Do you really want to hear a DJ blasting right there in the patio? Because they're small. They're not, that's more like I would want like background music if I'm eating or drinking.
Right.
I don't want to bum, bum, I just can't picture that. But I know everyone's trying to get back in slowly. So when you mentioned this to me about, I'm like, you know what? I feel safe being outside in an environment that I know I can be more than 6 feet away, right? And then the silent part of it, where you have your headsets on, that also like, well, I don't have to be running up to the speakers to hear a DJ. I could lay out somewhere comfortably because you're gonna go with a group of friends. It's like a picnic, right? You're gonna go with a group of friends or family, your own little group. So you're not gonna be, if people are like responsible and keeps themselves safe, I could picture it. I could picture multiple groups of people having their picnic, grilling whatever, turning on the music, the headphones, hearing the music, enjoying themselves while the DJs mix live.
Because remember, the two things. There's three choices of the music,
Right.
and there's the volume choice of the music.
Even
See?
better.
So-
Yeah, you don't have to blast it. You adjust it, and you get all different kinds of music. And I'm like, this to me, this is historic. It's and it could be a trend-setting thing during this weather. So, as I explained to you some of the events I did in my lifetime, this is kind of it. This is something that it's different. It's different. And not only that, we are like trying to get back to enjoying life. And music
Right.
is one of those things that brings us some kind of happiness, and stuff. It takes us back to good times and et cetera, et cetera. So I think this is a perfect avenue for everyone to come together and enjoy this. The only thing I hope we have great weather.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
the only thing there. We have great weather where it's not like 100 degrees, or it's some kind of storm.
Like
whatever.
it is outside right now.
Yeah. If you had great weather, I can really see this being successful. People having a good time.
And we're limiting the headsets, so that's
Yeah, it's only 200, right?
right. So 50 of them are gone already. So there's only 150
150
left.
left.
Yeah, so it's gonna, and as time goes on, I know it's gonna be more and more, and people, and I see what people are doing. They're buying sets of 2, sets of 4, they're buying, so obviously there's gonna have those little groups. I think like people with their 2 are gonna bring their kids, obviously, they're gonna be in that little group and they're gonna stay in that group. One of the suggestions, I don't know if I mentioned, and that's something that I'm, as this goes, I'm involved in it as well. Because I discovered that we're going to be doing this, and there's a parking lot that's not going to have any cars there. One of the DJs suggested that maybe we have a salsa teacher. So what we're going to do is we're going to get sidewalk chalk, the chalk that the kids use on the sidewalk chalk, and we're going to chalk out spaces on the parking lot, because the chalk, when it rains, it gets rushed off, and so those are things that you put on the so we're going to put all these spaces, and anybody that wants to do a salsa class, guess what? You got the spaces now. Yeah, all over the parking lot. So you want to do a salsa class? Get in your appropriate.
That's right.
And
There's
you can do the
more than
salsa
enough
class
room.
now, and so
More
obviously
than
we'll have
enough
the
room.
teacher standing in front, and everybody. There's enough room, and because the parking lot, it's a flat surface, so you can do the dancing in the parking lot. So
If
that's
I
another
wasn't
factor.
if I wasn't a DJ or involved in this, I will go just to experience it, just to see.
Right.
Because
And I think that's what's going to happen. I
right,
think
for
that's
a
what's gonna
while,
happen.
this is could be the new normal for
Right.
during our weather. Because you're right, once the fall hits, you can't.
We don't know how we're
Yeah.
going to do it. We don't know what's
Right. So this could be a new normal, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I'm taking my kids with me.
Well,
it's Father's Day that day.
Right, Father's Day.
I want to celebrate that with my kids. This moment,
Right.
and this is a moment in Chicago history.
Well, and just to just to reconfirm, I got an email yesterday from Alhambra Palace, and I guess one of the events coordinators, which they're avid salsa lovers. They come out on Tuesdays and stuff like that, and it's surprising because on a Tuesday, because of the fact that it's a Tuesday night, but you also get people that they make their plans on a Tuesday. It comes and shockingly how many people come out on a Tuesday, but they ask management, hey, what are the plans? What are you guys opening up? And Alhambra said that they weren't ready to open up yet. So that's telling me already that this is another situation that Salsa Tuesday is going to be on hold until they're ready to do it. But again, it goes back to the whole thing about, as big as that place is it going to be feasible to be open? Not just on a Tuesday, but any day of the week.
Are they being told to cut the capacity?
Well,
right?
that's well, you can't even be inside yet. So I know they have the option to be outside, but again, that's a big for some operations. If you're not doing an outside patio on a normal basis, that's a whole different business. Outdoor patio. I see a lot of these places like Most Cantina, Old Crow, and stuff like that. They had existing outdoor patio,
so they're okay with it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they already know. But someone who doesn't do a normal outdoor patio, and you're creating this business as an outdoor patio, now you're reinventing the wheel.
Yeah, and if you don't have the right space, I mean, I went out today, earlier in my day with my son, and we saw just a couple of tables, people waiting.
Yep.
To like these tables, and it's warm right now in Chicago, like, and like, man, this is so inconvenient.
Right.
It's inconvenient right now, so, and I even heard that some owners wanted to put like tables out in the alleys because they don't have enough room in front. Like, are you crazy? You can't be drinking and dining in Chicago. Had a big, come on, in Chicago, be honest, there's a lot of rats. Like this big, yeah, I know. So I mean, it's like, but they're, like you said, they're trying to come up with something new, and I get it, but you just gotta be smart and safe about it, you know?
I think the way everybody, let's make this happen. And I think this would be the blueprint on how things could go forward
Yeah.
with other things. Because trust me, if it works for us, I know George Ortega is looking at it.
George Ortega, that dude, we went to high school together.
So, but he's looking at this very seriously.
Yeah.
He wants to see how this works and stuff like that. He probably is going to be there so he can watch to see the
Yeah, he does those
dynamics.
Colombian Fest, right? He called,
Right.
yeah, he called me a couple years ago. We were supposed to do like a reunion of some type, but I remember George. Yeah, we graduated. I think we were in the same graduating class, and I know when we saw each other later, he became like a sound guy. And when I heard he's doing all these things now, it brought some happiness to me. Like, wow, because this is a guy that we graduated from the same school, and he's become so successful, with these events. It was good. It was good to see that, to hear that story about him.
Right.
That was awesome.
All right. Well, Pablo, that is it for today. I gotta get something to eat in my system. Before I
Yeah.
go.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, me too.
And
I need water. I need to drink something. Like you're
I
talking
got
too
a
much.
hard Roman coming up, and I know
Oh yeah, that guy.
that's gonna be I know that's gonna be a good show. It's gonna
Yeah.
be. I thought this is a great show as well, but it's gonna be a history.
Yeah, it's
And I
what I
know
like about it is it'll be another perspective besides the DJ perspective and promoter
right.
perspective. Now you get like a radio and other stuff, perspective. So thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you everyone who logged in and were watching me today. And if I missed mentioning your name, I'm sorry. But yeah, when it was hard to me to mention. It's hard to mention everybody involved in your life that has been helpful sometimes. And if I missed you, I thank you. You know who you are. Thank you very much for everything. And before we go, Pietro, I also want to say that what's going on in our city, total change from last Sunday where our city was burning down. I'm happy to see that that's in Chicago and that things are getting more peaceful. And I believe in the Black Lives Matter movement, BLM, and I just hope that as a society, as a race, that we come together and live happily, peaceful human beings. That's what I think was the intent, was for us to live together peacefully.
Right. All right. Thank you, Pablo. Appreciate it, guys. The Front Door Show. Thank you.